Hello and welcome back to Jacob's Book Corner, where I'm Jacob from, this is my, not book corner, but we tend to record on Book Corner. This is a channel where I am hopefully soon to be an author, and I post booktube videos here, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. This week we'll have multiple videos because it's a new month, and so we have wrap-ups and stuff coming, but I highly recommend you guys check around, and we're going to be doing the mid-year Freakout book tag. I do want to mention some stats. I've read over 20,000 pages and between 83 books, which I was really, really proud about. And my average rating right now is a 3.6 on Goodreads, which I also very much enjoy. My goal, by the way, for Goodreads is 200 books, and I'm at 83, so we're all behind, but I'm also excited that I'm behind because I need the extra push to continue to pick up more and more books, which is the whole plan. I want to read more. So we're going to go through these questions. There's only one added question, which we'll get to, but there's 14 questions. I have 13 questions on a normal mid-year freakout book tag. All right, let's start with the first one, and the first one is the best book you've read so far. The best book by hands is The Anti-Virginity Pact by Katie Weismer. I read a lot of great books this year, a lot of books that I really would stand by, but this is by far my favorite. This is the only book that's on this list twice, and we'll get there. But this follows a pastor's daughter who does not believe in their religion, and her and her best friend signed this anti-virginity pact because they want to leave, they want to go off, they don't want to go off to college a virgin. The pact ended up getting leaked out to the school, but only our main character's name is on it, and shenanigans arise, and it's a very, very serious and dark but beautiful story, and Katie Weismer is one of my favorite authors. Her poetry collection is one of my favorite collections, and so I think this book was always set up for me to love, but I absolutely enjoyed it, and I can't wait to read more from this author, which we'll get to, but yeah. So the worst book I've read so far is The Boys of Brayshaw High. I've gone back and forth between a few of these, because I have a few worse books, but I would say Boys of Brayshaw High is by far the worst one. I hated it. I didn't enjoy the whole experiences. And normally when I read these books I tend to read them in one sitting, which I would say is probably bad. And I did not like this whatsoever, so I do not recommend. I don't even know who it's by, but it's on the cover. This is a series, and I can't believe there's more than one. Alright, we'll move on. The best sequel I've read so far is The Wicked King by Holly Black. This is the sequel to The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. It also has another sequel, The Queen of Nothing, which I think came out in December or November of last year. I read these in March, and I adored them. The Cruel Prince I was never a huge fan of, and so I picked The Wicked King after rereading The Cruel Prince, and I thought it was okay. And The Wicked King blew me away. It was everything I ever wanted in a sequel. It was probably one of the best sequels I've read in a very long time. It had every element you would want for a second book, and I just loved it. And I can't wait to read more from Holly Black. I've heard mixed things about her stories, and so I might wait for a new one. I'm really, really excited to see The Cruel Prince from Carden's point of view, and so I'll be picking up that story when it comes out later on this year. It's not on this list, so I figured I'd put it here. I'm not going to put the cover up or whatever. So, a new book, my most anticipated, book that's coming out or whatever, that I've yet to read. Now, this book actually doesn't come out until tomorrow, but I do have it from Book Outlet. Not Book Outlet. I do have it from Book of the Month, and I do also, so I have it from Book of the Month, but I'm getting the audiobook from Audible tomorrow. I've had it pre-ordered for 4 months now. And that's Home Before Dark by Riley Sagar. I have no idea what it's about, except for it's probably about a haunted house is what I understand. And from what I understand, it's a book inside a book. All these elements I love. I really, really enjoyed Riley Sagar's last outing, which was, Walk Every Door. And I very, very much really, really liked that one. He was an author that I picked up the last half of last year, and we'll be doing a whole wrap-up as soon as I get done reading this one. I'm going to be ranking all of his books, and so I'm giving you guys a whole play-by-play on this author, and I really, really do enjoy his work, and I'm really, really happy to read Home Before Dark, as I think it could be his best one so far. So the next one is my most anticipated book for the second half of this year, and it hands down goes to Poems for the End of the World by Katie Weismer. Yes, Katie Weismer has many spots on this list because she's just an amazing writer. But her first poetry collection, The Sweetest Kind of Poison, is one of my favorite books of all time. And so obviously my most anticipated book would be her second collection, which comes out October 1st. And I cannot wait to have a copy of it. to own it, to market, to do all the fun things you do when you have a poetry collection that you know you're going to adore. She has said this poetry collection is different from her first one. Her first collection, which I'm going to link down below if I remember, I also have a review about it, is a relationship. It's about a abusive relationship and the rising and the falling of the relationship, and it's very a singular story, whereas these ones I think are not. There are also a lot of micro poems that hit real hard, and yeah, I'm very, very excited for this collection. It's a little bit shorter, but it's my most anticipated book for the second half this year. My biggest disappointment for the year was also, like I said, a few. Most of them, normally it's thrillers. I tend to go into thrillers with really, really high expectations, but I would say by far is Cop Town by Karen Slaughter. I will be talking about this in more detail when I do the Karen Slaughter wrap-up of her standalones, but Cop Town follows a group of cops in Atlanta of 1974, and the biggest, I would say, disappointment about it is I was really, really anticipating it. Her other standalones I've all enjoyed, and I'll talk about that in that video, but with this in particular, it was her first one outing on standalones. She had only written the Will Trent series in her second series, which is also a part of the Will Trent, like, world or whatever, and I'm excited to start those. I think this one was always probably not going to be my favorite, just because it is a police procedural novel, which simply means we're following the detectives behind it. I really like it when we follow the victims, because I find it to be much more interesting and honestly much more enjoyable. But personally, this was just not it for me. I found it to be quite offensive in several different ways, and I was really let down by the writing, and just overall, this was a book that really, really hurt me, because I wanted so much more out of it. My next one is The Biggest Surprise, which goes to Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, because I've never read a Leigh Bardugo book before. It is an adult fantasy, which also it's always a setup for failure, and I absolutely adored it. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars, and I am very, very anticipating the rest of Alex Stern's story. This follows a girl who gets sent to Yale to help protect them while they're doing black magic. She is somebody who would never get into Yale, and she is sent to a scholarship, and it's about her time there. It is a dual plotline, dual timeline, and so we follow her in the past and in the present, and I just loved how the story was told, and I loved how visual it was, and I just very, very enjoyed myself while reading it. I had a hard time reading it. There's a lot of themes in here that are very dark, but overall, I cannot wait to read more from Leigh Bardugo, and I do plan on picking up the rest of her books this year at some point. So, continuing on, we have my favorite new author. I'm actually going to cheat here. We're going to talk about an author that I found last year, and that would be Karen Slaughter. Karen Slaughter is a thriller author who has written books such as The Good Daughter and, oh my god, what is that called? We're going to use The Good Daughter because I can't think of the other one, and it's going to annoy me, but I'll figure it out. And The Good Daughter, by the way, is one of my favorite thrillers of all time, and so that's why this is a disappointment. But that's not the point. She has amazing writing, and the way she does her research and things, and the way her stories are conveyed, it just makes me so happy inside. And honestly, I cannot praise her enough. Sometimes she has some duds, but everybody does, so like, we're not judging here. Okay, moving on. Our fictional crush of the year. This is kind of hard. This is, I would categorize as a new adult, so I'm more okay with it. I am a 21-year-old person. I can't just say, like, Sam from the Anti-Virginity Pact, who's adorable, but they're in high school. So, that's a no. So we're going to go with Henry from Red, White, and Royal Blue, which follows two people, the president's son and Henry, which is the British son, falling in love over the course of, like, 10 months or something like that. It's one of my favorite novels, and I do understand, if you know me personally, you know all my thoughts and opinions. It is a hypocrite book for me because it is written by a woman, but I very, very much enjoy it, and I think I enjoy this one so much because it's not in first person. This is a third person story. You would never know that reading it because it reads like a first person, but I loved every detail about it. I know a lot of people have some similar problems with some of the storylines and some of where the story goes. I enjoyed it all, and I couldn't recommend this book enough. One of my favorites, my favorite book of last year, and Henry is the adorable British who I just want to love, and I keep going back to this story because of him, and I will continue going back to the story because of him. Continuing on our list, we have our favorite character, somebody who I really related to, and I do have quite a few, several people we've talked about. But something we've not talked about yet is Shane, from again by Christina Rico. This tells a story about a girl who goes off to a city abroad in London, and her time there doesn't go exactly as she plans, and so she gets to do it better. Is basically the best way to describe it. Christina Rico is a story about this is a author who was on BookTube and stuff. She's one of my favorite booktubers. She gets me so motivated to write, and she definitely does push me to hit that end of my story. And so I was very, really excited to pick up her debut novel, which I've had since release, but I just had not gotten around to finishing it because Shane here deals with severe anxiety through most of the book, and it's a very similar anxiety of how I deal with it, which is why I related to her so much. There's also a lot of other reasons why I related to her. Reasons why I relate to Christine as somebody who I watch on BookTube and stuff, and why she's such a big inspiration for me for personal reasons. But overall, Shane was an amazing character. I'm so happy we got to read from her, and I cannot wait for Christine's second novel. So, a book that made me cry, the only book I can honestly think of that actually brought tears to my eye, like full-on fledged crying, was The Anti-Virginity Pact by Kay Weismer. It could be the fact that this was one of the most recent books I've read here, but I do think it's the only book that has made me cry. It was beautiful, and there's several moments in it that made me cry. I cried in the middle, in the end, so yeah. Continuing on, the most beautiful story I own, cover that I bought so far this year, gifted or otherwise, is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. Now, I've not read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I've heard some pretty interesting things about it. I do want to know, since I won't be picking it up until like September to October, because I don't think I'm going to be in the mood for it until then, would you guys want a review or a full-on vlog of me rereading the entirety of the Hunger Games? Let me know in the comments down below, as I'm always curious to hear about your guys' opinions on the videos you guys want to see. But I really love the inside dust jacket for the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. But I just wasn't, I don't know. It's still the most prettiest cover I think I own, personally. Most of my covers are very simple, so yeah. Now, the last one is books you need to read before the end of the year. I have 3 books here to talk about, and I have so many others. My TBRs for the end of the year, I mean, I have 123 more books to read before the end of the year, so many more to go through. Books I don't even know exist yet, I'm probably going to pick up. We have the rest of the Elizabeth Avosados. I read The Poet X, I loved it. I want to pick up Fire and High, her newest one. And we might do a wrap-up of her as well. I'm not really sure. I tend to like to do like 4 books for wrap-ups. Not that every author gets a 4th book, so, you know. But we have Lucy Fowles' The Guest List, which is something I'm currently reading right now, and I'm kind of enjoying, but I'm curious to see. It is a debut novel about a thriller, about it's like a whodunit mystery. Somebody dies in this wedding party, and we got to figure out who killed them. I'm very excited to read it. We have Forever Rented by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which is the last Taylor Jenkins Reid I had to read. That's a lot of reads in one sentence. I had to read before her newest book, and we'll be doing a whole wrap-up before that comes out, because Malibu Burning, I don't think, comes out until 2021 to 2022, so I'm not going to wait that long. Then we also have The Merciless by Danielle Vega, which is a story kind of like torture porn, is what I've said, and I've never read true torture porn, so I'm excited to pick this up as well. That is the mid-year freakout book tag. I hope you guys very much enjoyed. I had a lot of fun filming, and if you guys like this type of video, I know this one was a little more hectic because I'm tired and things, but if you guys like this type of content, please do stick around as there's more to come. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.